got something. We got double feedback here with music. What's happening? It's gone silent. I'm playing. Yeah, yeah, I'm playing. You can't hear no music playing on this end. Oh my gosh, bro. I. This is just. You hear me? Okay, just play something there for me, man.
Rotting on the road, written in the book, higher heights in the sky, me say I and I look. Ethiopia, Africa,
Yo, yes, greetings, people, man. Up and down with technology and ting. But anyway, I thought I was you was hearing the intro, but it turned out there was nothing being played, and then I'm hearing stuff in the studio. So yo, this is what you get for live. You know what I mean? There's no pre-rehearsed recordings and so forth. So you're getting it. You know what I'm saying? Living spirit. So I'm just gonna kind of go into this evening, and I'll sort out this other stuff. Um, yeah, another time. So yes, soul brothers and sisters. Yeah, it's like we're coming into another Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So there's glitches. You know what I mean? But not to kind of put everything down just on some Mercury retrograde, but there everything is interconnected, yeah. So you're dealing with forces. You're dealing with planetary forces, celestial forces, unseen forces, which are interacting. Um, the invisible is interacting with the visible. Okay, so so there is a strong need to really tune into the non-visible source, your non-visible self within. So anyway, I'm just hitting the ground running because it looks like this is how the energy is moving, y'all. So I wanted to play some music and so forth, but it looks like I'm just gonna have to do a talk show this evening, as I usually do anyway. But more times I like to kind of, blend some tunes in there and so forth. But I may get another calling, some callers coming in, as I had wonderful Jadusha Shine last Tuesday called in with her contribution. Always, you know, always complimenting what is being discussed on the show. So, I really appreciate love her for her insight. And for any of y'all who, you have some insights you would like to share, because, we're not, this is not kind of just a one man show as such, we're all going through various interchanges, okay? You've got the collective level of what's going on big time, and more times what you're getting is reactionary stuff from the media in whatever capacity you engage within the social media or the TV, you know what I'm saying, the news and all of that. This is a time where you need to basically a lot of still reactionary reactions, because you are dealing with the psychological and spiritual warfare going on, in a sense that you have systematic, you can say organized consciousness manipulation, okay, going on all the time through what you're absorbing in mentally, what your attention is being drawn out to. Um, Definitely when you're dealing with generations that have been conditioned to focus on the exterior for the source of, to find who they are, or to get direction, or for someone to tell them what to believe, and how to think, how to feel, what to wear. This is the situation you see going on when you're dealing with the exterior, focusing on the exterior. But you're not going to find yourself on the exterior. You're going to only find yourself when you start to tune your attention back inward to yourself. But yeah, what I want to kind of go into, last Tuesday, I was talking about how change is imminent. Okay. And from since then, we've been having a progress towards the full moon in Aries, which we had on the 13th. And yes, various, things have already been coming up. Some people just waking up very angry. And if you're out there, especially in the rush hour time, you can feel the agitation going on, and if you're not centered in yourself, you can feel sparks will fly. And there's been quite a lot of delays on trains, certain stuff going on with individuals on the tracks, or situations, getting on a train, or signal failure, and all these things can ramp up people's irritation because people just want to get home, from, you don't want to be in this cattle market as you're rushing through the cattle gates to get on your train and get out the station. So there's this a lot of frustration, pent up stuff. What you're dealing with on the outside, on the surface, is very different to what's going on underneath the bonnet. You know what I'm saying? So these are the energies permeating, and it's a lot of emotional intensity. And, there's this inner fire, where it's like, as I said last strong, that you're going to get some flare ups, so you may get some explosions. But the thing is we just had a full moon in Aries, okay? So for the past few strongs, I've been talking involving astrological, which is study of the stars, which is the study of your own self, of your own psyche, because all psychology, all child psychology, and psychology itself had all stemmed out from astrology. A lot of people don't know this because they think it's just some medical scientific something that's just come out the woodwork through Western science, when no, this stuff there's always been a system to help you remain in tune with yourself, or to help you assist you to know thyself, which is the why behind why astrology even exists. It's over 3,000 years old, more than that. So you're dealing with a science, more of a super science than the way science approaches things today. And if things are not so-called scientifically verified in the modern context, people kind of are conditioned to not accept things, that go beyond modern day science. You see what I'm saying? People seem to need science to verify or validate to themselves anything that you could say is new. All right. But you see, spirituality and science should be working together. All right. Or some folk would even say religion and spirituality, or religion, and science, But the thing is that astrology is the science of your own self, the science of consciousness, for you to know thyself. That's why it exists. It's not really about predictions. It's not really about, when you're going to have a next child, or when you're going to have, this new lover come into your life. These things can be seen. These things can be said. But that is not what the purpose of astrology is for. Astrology, the why behind it, is for you to know the existence of God. The reason why you've come in here and chosen the ascendant that you are off, and the sun sign that you are off, basically the whole configuration of your chart, you chose it pre-birth, okay? And, some folk will have an issue with that, because the conditioning, the human condition only enables you to just think with the ideas that you get on this earthly plane. And what you see on the surface is what you get and there's nothing far more deeper beneath the surface for you to penetrate into. That is now perceived as the unknown, and you don't want to get too deep, bro. That shit will turn you mad. These type of terminologies. At the same time, you got a whole heap of people in mental psychiatric wards because of other factors to do with life that you find the modern day approach to even mental well-being and your own physical well-being, and even the approach to the spiritual source and origin of yourself and all things. It's all obscured, and it's just kind of keeps you just focusing on a program that keeps you believing you're a human, and you just keep thinking on this through the human condition, you're operating at that, and ignorant to anything else about who you and what you are, or anything else about existence. You see what I mean? So this can make people very resistant, and when you're not used to certain, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance, basically. But anyway, because all is interconnected, and you are a part of the whole, the all, or the whole, what your energy is affects the whole. Okay, but a lot of people from the egoic mind sees everything as separate, sees themselves as separate, so they can't see that how their actions can have a chain reaction, on so much other levels that could be for good or ill, better or for worse, because of this interconnection that you have with yourself and everything else and all that is. So you could say the lack of awareness about all of that, because there's not the science of knowing yourself is not even really even taught in your schools. You're just dealing with it outside all the time. And a lot of pre-cooked ideas and ideologies, thoughts, and a lot of biases and judgment and all these limiting beliefs that unless you start to question, for yourself and seek to know what is true, what do you hold true in yourself, rather than what you've been programmed with to accept and fixate on, then things are going to be very difficult, because the change that's taking place here now, the full moon in Aries, the full moon. Let's just deal with Aries. Aries also represents, if you look into the word, it says arise. It's the head, represents your head. And the head is the first part of the body that comes out when a baby is born from the mother, unless there is, complications with the position of the baby, before its birth. But it is the head first, okay? So Aries represents the divine spark within us, the pioneering, initiating force, which is aligned with the need for freedom and independence to discover one's intrinsic nature. Now, intrinsic nature is very different from the superimposed ideologies. As soon as you come into this realm, you are distracted and caught up with the programs that you're getting superimposed upon you through the family you've chosen to come in, through the society, through the culture, and all of this kind of these are what contributes to the conditioning, which can make you forget basically what you knew before your form was born, before this creative vehicle was born for the soul of you to have its experience, which your soul, which is yourself, your true, deeper, innermost self, intended when you stepped into this plane, So, or I should say, came in head first, So you forget. You're under a program of all of the conditioning and also ancestral baggage, clutter, because you could be carrying on the the continuation of what has gone before you. You see what I'm saying? And then you, based upon your soul's intention, evolutionary intention, become the one who breaks the mold, and may end up experiencing a lot of ridicule, at first from your family, because you're moving in a different way. You're making choices and decisions that is breaking the mold from the prerequisite, the pre-existing belief system and program that you're supposed to adhere to. So Aries becomes this need to discover one's intrinsic self, one's intrinsic nature, differently to what you've been brought up and to growing up in. You see? So this is really what's going on here. And what I mean by this is a need to a new sense of self emerging, a new sense of self. Now, opposite Aries, you got Libra. So with that, you're dealing with a relationship. So you got the sun in Libra, and we have had the moon in Aries. So you got an opposition. You see, you got an opposing opposition. Now, within an opposition, you're dealing with struggle. You're like a tug of war. And the only way to resolve this opposition is to find the middle ground, the center, you see, where two rivers meet, you see. And usually we look outside for the solution to what's going on inside of ourselves, when actually you have to look within, you have to go within for the resolution of what's going on within in order to resolve the inner stress and the tension, okay? Which is being brought up to your awareness based upon what's coming up from your subconscious to be addressed in order for you to declutter your consciousness and purify your consciousness from past, from the past, from programming, conditionings, things that are not true, but you're holding on to them as if they are, because they're making up part of your belief system. Your belief system really indicates how you believe about what you believe about yourself and what you believe about your world. And that is what then goes into structuring your reality. This is where Saturn comes in, because Saturn is about your 3D existence, the structure of your reality, coming from what you're believing. You see what I mean? Your belief about yourself. So Aries, full moon. The full moon is the reflection of the light of the sun. So the sun in Libra is like, this relationship and the diversity of relationship, or the nature of the relationships you're having at the moment, or been having for quite a while, a certain cycle, certain loop you could be caught up in, which are all resulting from ultimately the relationship you're having with yourself or not having with yourself. Okay, so you've got the sun in Libra, because we're in Libracism season, and this is about balance, finding the balance from being imbalanced, okay? Finding the balance from going to either extreme, because, Librans can be very extreme. It's one side, one extreme to the other extreme until they find the balance. But in the meantime, there's a whole lot of extreme stuff going on that can be going on. And what takes place in that is relationships now become a place of power struggle, dominant, submissive, or a place where you're hiding out, Now, what's being illuminated here is that the sun is saying, okay, the relationships, but it's also shining about the relationship you're having with or not having with yourself. And with yourself, so you got Libra is the relationship, and opposite Libra is Aries, which is self, okay? I'm talking about it in this way to see if this can assist y'all to make sense of how all of this is going to fit within the context I've just started opening up to discuss this all, to continue from last Tuesday's show, which was titled Change is Imminent. So full moon in Aries is basically having to come now to an ending point of the way you have been, for around 35 years, because this is not something that It's just a change that's taken place within in how one perceives oneself that has just been going on for a few years. I mean, you could go back 10 years because this does actually link back to 10 as well, which would be 2009. Certain changes took place because Pluto entered into Capricorn in 2008, and we also had Uranus in Aries for 8 years, and that moved out of Aries eventually into Taurus last year. Okay, so yeah, but not to kind of confuse things up by giving an astrology class, because that's another level to where, gonna have to do a workshop on this. But as I said, astrology, the reason why astrology exists is to help one know thyself. You come in here to know the existence of the creator, and the way you're going to go about knowing the existence of the source of your being is what the astrology is indicating and showing you, okay? Reflecting back to you your energetic decisions pre this incarnation. So, and I know that's still kind of a lot for some folk to even accept or take in, but hey, yeah, the proof is in the pudding. So you're going to have to, tune in to work this out for yourself. Prove it to yourself. Yeah. Whatever you hear, you got to try and prove it to yourself. Until you've experienced it, you can't really say you know if it's true. And, a lot of information is taken up from the cerebral level. And, it's not enough to confirm if something's true or not, because it has to resonate with your inner core. Okay. The inner core, which is your soul. Okay. Because you come in here with the truth your soul knows. Yeah, which is very differently to the so-called truth that is basically called facts on this plane and beliefs that you're getting conditioned and superimposed upon you. You see what I mean? So these things then become the egoics, biased, prejudiced, judgmental, program beliefs. And you think you have to be acting out all of that. You've got to be pursuing what you've been conditioned to pursue in the world in order to feel successful, in order to feel validated, in order to feel loved, in order to feel enough. And it's a constant, chasing after. I want. And to be wanting and grabbing after something must mean that you're empty of that which you're grabbing after, and that's why you need to obtain it so you can merge with it and ingest it, absorb it. You see what I mean? So that means that there is not you're not approaching life with a fullness. You're approaching life with an emptiness, where the egoic personality is always going out to grab in order to, I need to get something from the relationship of whether it's intimate, romantic, whether it's business, whether it's strategic in some form of the way it's, the way you have to relate is in the way that you position yourself to get the most out of that situation. You see what I mean? So those are egoic pursuits, because it's all about, I need to get something. It's not about, hey man, I'm full. I got something here I want to radiate. I want to share. I want to exchange and interact, you know what I'm saying? And have this reciprocity and balance taking place. It's, that can only take place if you are full with what you have to come to realize you already possess within inside of you. If you're not stepping in that way, then you're coming from this empty place, and you need to constantly be filled. And that then becomes a constant, perpetual pursuit, because soon after you get this fill from the outside, drawing it into you, soon it dissipates. Yeah. And you're on the pursuit again. But everything is kind of indicating now, the movement of the energies at the time we're in, is that you need to connect to the source within yourself. When you're connecting to the source within yourself, the source of all existence, the source of life, okay? This is when you're filling up with the source of the love. You realize you are the source of the life and the light and the love, that you now become and radiate to draw towards you that which matches your frequency. Like attracts like. This is when we're dealing with more of the soul and consciously working with the life force creative power within ourselves and where we're directing it. But when you're coming from the ego, believes you're separate from the source of all that is, and you're still caught up with the beliefs that keep you in that state, you're coming from this empty place. And there was this old saying when I was growing up, empty vessels make the loudest noise. Because, you know what I mean? Everything's knocking on the sides. There's nothing full. You're not filled up, with the life, So people are searching for things, searching for the source of what they're looking for outside of themselves. When they need to find this, they can only find it within. And this is what the pressure is, y'all. This is where the pressure is becoming felt to change, yeah? This pressure, and this pressure is coming from Pluto. Pluto is the desire of your soul. Pluto is related to your soul and your past soul incarnations and the past soul, the prior lives your soul has sojourned. And this is what Pluto represented, the evolutionary, soul evolutionary intention and the soul evolutionary desire to grow, expand, and to express itself in a more fuller way than it has done before. Yeah, so it's always the nature of the divine intelligence, the nature of the divine intelligence of your soul is to always produce something that goes beyond what has gone before. Yeah, that's how life, that's the whole nature of life. Life is about growth. So growth is expansion. You see what I mean? Growth is also the expression in a more fuller way. You see what I mean? So this is your soul. This is your soul's intention. But the ego, the personal self-image that we began to develop, that was developing from 7 years old, from 0 to 7, is your personal self-image. Your ego, yeah, is formed, okay? And then from there to 28, you come around to a point where the ideas you have about reality and who you perceive yourself to be and what you perceive yourself to be is what you believe up to that point, until you get a Saturn return where it's now a shakeup. It's where you now have to re-examine the ideas you were carrying about life up to that point. Because around a Saturn return, when you reach 28, your life just, it could be a good experience. You could end up having a good breakthrough, but more times this is when your conditioning makes itself very evident to you. And for you to now go into yourself and transform these limiting ideas you had about life, these limited beliefs, in order to get in tune with what's intrinsic to you, what's more integral to yourself. For you to rebuild yourself, for you to now be the master of yourself and the master of your life, where you're not carrying pre-cooked ideas which you then eventually come to realize was not real or true for you. You see? So everything is happening within its everything's happening within its time as well, because we're living within time and space. So what's I'm connecting this all to is saying why this change is so imminent, because we got a lot of excuse me, there is something's just come up on my feed. Yeah, on the 3rd of October we had Pluto go direct, and I explained just now saying that Pluto is relating to your soul, the divine will, your soul's incarnation intention or evolutionary intention. And when we're living in alignment with that, then the ego is dissolving. You see, it's about dissolving your ego into your soul, the ocean, like the wave being dissolved into the ocean, where now your ego is in alignment with your soul's intention. But when you're not dealing with the deeper reality of yourself, then you're playing and still behaving or believing you need to be a particular person, this sense of self you have, based upon your conditioning. And now all of that is becoming unbearable to carry. The changes are imminent. So Aries, as I said, is about the self, but the need for freedom and independence to discover this intrinsic self. Okay? Intrinsic means natural, innate, some that is true to you, natural to you, your natural self. You see? So, and to align with the desires of your soul. So we got some lessons kicking up, because all those who are Libra, and wherever you got Libra in your chart and wherever you got Aries going on in your chart, this is the area you're going to be experiencing this. You're going to have some Aries, they being in a relationship, for example, Libra. And they've been in a relationship with this partner for a while. They have children with them, but there's been issues going on for quite a while. And you're always trying to resolve this. You're trying to, you're trying to be, okay, let me be understanding. Let you be compromising, and you're always approaching, trying to give all these different approaches to resolve any issue with the relationship. It's always about communicating when you're dealing with Libra. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can find an amicable resolution with this. Always want to reason it through. And then you got the Aries, which is like, but I need to be myself. I need to be myself. I mean, gosh, I need to be true to myself, but I feel that I'm suppressing part of who I am in order to accommodate the imbalances in this relationship. Yeah. And you could, and you could be, you could be going back and forth with this situation, okay, for years. And the reason why this change is very different to, just making changes as you may feel throughout the years. You may have started a project. You may have, okay, let me start something a little new, find that it's not really working with you, or you change your mind about it. Or, I'm not talking about those kind of little changes. I'm talking about, for 35 years, there's a way you have being, right? For 35 years, there is a way we all have, well, those who have just been born ain't going to be basically qualified in this area. But think about, like, if you are in your 40s, if you are from 40 to 55 or something, then for 35 years, you have been, the way you have been going about being as this self, this sense of self you have, this way of being you've had about you for 35 years. It's like now all of that has the chance to change. It's like you've been living a way that hasn't really been you to the core. It's been a way that hasn't been enabling you to really be yourself. Okay, Aries. So it's been making you feel you have to, you been making all the concessions, you've been either doing all of the, trying to keep everything, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and things still remain heavy. It's like something that has been a burden or can feel burdensome or has felt burdensome, even if you may not want to admit that. Because you could be in a relationship, having children with it, and yet folk who, they feel bad, they don't want to be honest about how they really feel, This is again why this change is imminent, because not being true to yourself because of the fear of what the other person will feel, think, or say, while you in yourself is in a way, while you're trying to be considerate about the other person, you yourself is actually feeling suppressed in your own self, oppressed in yourself, because you're being a way that's not really true to you, but this is the way you believed you had to be. You see what I'm saying? This is the way you thought you had to be. So for 35 years, this has been going on. And the change that we're dealing with now is where, for this 35 years, for this 35 years of being a certain way is now coming to an end. And in coming to an end, this also may be the relationships that are associated with the way you've been for the last 35 years. That is, those things are gonna, you see what I'm saying, gonna be affected. Those things are gonna be, they're gonna get topsy-turvy, you see? This is why there may be like, yo man, I'm sensing this change. I need to maybe smooth out certain things first. You see what I mean? Trying to smooth out things with a relationship. You think maybe I can still do that. But then you may end up trying to do that. Or you may say to yourself, okay, let me try and keep myself, just calm. I'm not going to get dragged into no difficult conversation, like before. But you find you can't hold this fire down and you explode. And then you end up letting this person know how you really motherfucking feel. Well, how you've been really trying your best to really make things work, but you no longer can do this. And you may let off on somebody. You know what I'm saying? You may let off and burn the fire of purification. You know what I'm saying? And let somebody know, this is the deal, take it or leave it. But in a way, it's not even about taking it. It's about leaving it. It's about leaving an old way of relating to yourself and an old way of the kind of relationships you've been having. Is about leaving them, kicking it to the, I don't want to be kind of callous on it, because I was about to say kick it to the curb, but it's like, it needs to be dropped. It's like an old garment, it's no longer, you're no longer comfortable in it. It could be just something that is like, no, man, this has just gone on too long. And as I have said, 35 years, So it's a 35-year habit. Imagine the 35-year addiction, 35-year habit, which has not been serving you to be your best and be your truth. That has to go. And this is what's the whole stuff coming up in folk in their, the whole variable, because it's a variabilities, there's wholly multiple diversity of variables in how this can be experienced with individuals, okay? But when you're dealing with the collective, which you may be, if you're tuning in and reacting to a lot of the stuff you're seeing on the media and getting caught up in all this humanity stuff and this human stuff, then you will be, reflecting you can get caught up in that and sending your energy to amplify your anger you have with whatever issue that's triggering you, okay? And you don't realize that anger, while you're talking about change, you being angry and amplifying that anger towards whatever you're angry about, whatever group you're in, whatever mental wavelength you're on that is shared by other people in the world who's on a similar wavelength, that is of stuff that, you want change, but you're angry with this and you're always projecting out there, you're reacting to what you're seeing, then you are amplifying the very state you may be angry about, say you don't want, but you're part of that. Because you're amplifying that energy, because we're all connected. And based on vibrations, you're going to be vibrationally connected to whomever, whether they're close to you or miles away, they're on the same wavelength, they're on the same frequency. So you're going to feel the amplification of whether it's the anger, the rage, the fear. If you're caught up in all of that type of stuff, you're going to feel the amplification of that. Whereas folk who's not choosing to be on that wavelength, they're not going to feel what you feel because they're not going to be amplifying or having that amplified in themselves with other folk around the world that they're connecting to on that same frequency because they're on a different frequency. And this different frequency, yeah, is what I want to talk about also in this tonight's, broadcast. Because this changing in the sense of self you are beginning to feel rise up within you. This is a very positive full moon, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be jumping out like a jack in the box and going, da-da, yeah, and I'm this new thing, and I'm now going to be it, and, I'm so excited and all of that type of stuff. Actually, it's coming around in more of an introspective way. It's more of an inner reflective way. It's more of like, okay, I'm aware that I'm making this, I'm feeling this transmutation taking place within. But I want to kind of move with this right. You know what I mean? I don't want to make the same mistakes I made in the past. I want to kind of move with this new sense of self I feel rising up within me. I want to kind of move with it right. So there's not going to be this knee-jerk rushing to kind of like, yeah, I'm going to be this now. It's coming forth in a more balanced way. You got to find it in a balanced way because Aries is itself and Libra is the relationship. And ultimately, it's now what relationship do you want to have with yourself? Because the way we've been kind of living for the last 35 years is basically you're having relationships based upon what you think you should have been having, or for peace sake, just for peace sake, you end up compromising yourself to a degree where you're not really being true to what you feel. And you felt you've had to suppress that in order to maintain the so-called peace, okay? In a situation that is a bit very tacky and very, when I say tacky, it's very like sticky for you to get out of. You have children, it's connected with other people, whole other people are involved, So you may have felt, oh gosh, you've just suppressed. You said, oh, forget, doesn't matter what I feel, doesn't matter what I really desire, I just have to do my duty to this. So in a way you resign yourself over to situations and circumstances for the last 35 years because you believe, well, that's how you have to be. Well, that time is over. So now it's like really you are asking you're being asked, what kind of relationship do you actually want to have with yourself? What kind of way do you want to be relating to yourself? How do you want to be? So now this is not something that you can approach from, again, some egoic level, mental level, looking outside. What do I want to be? Comparing yourself to, again, something on the exterior, or listening to all these, advice and YouTube stuff telling you about, goal setting and, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? And all projected based upon achieving some goal and success by obtaining certain material things or something in society. You need to go for that. Not that kind of what do I want to be, what kind of relationship I want to have with myself. This is something that's going to be far more deeper. It has to be far more deeper. And why it's so deeper is because while we have had the full moon in Aries on the 13th, 14th of October, while the sun was obviously in Libra, we also had Pluto squaring the moon in Aries and also squaring the sun in Libra. So with Pluto, again, I've said it's related to your soul. It's also the evolutionary power, okay, of the soul, where anything that gets in the way of your soul's, Okay, intention, because that's the only reason why you're here. All right, that's the reason why your form was born, and what they call an incarnation. You're in the flesh, you know, as a physical or creative vehicle for your soul to experience and to fulfill its intention for coming into form again or incarnating. Um, Anything that gets in the way of that, this is where Pluto, the power, the executioner, will destroy all of this egoic, unreal, all this illusionary aspects of what we may be holding on to, you see, from the ego aspect. And this is why it's also represented to life, death, and rebirth, or which is transmutation. So this is why it can be a time where certain thing, death is the ultimate. You see, when we say death is another way of really saying the ultimate moment where you have to let go. So death is another way of saying letting go, you see? And it's usually through death where people are forced to let go of things that they could have let go way before, yeah? But because of the attachments to this false construct, this false identity, they're not in tune with their soul. They've been holding on to various states of consciousness that have not been nourishing and have been actually toxic to them, poisonous, okay? And throughout all of their sojourn, they would not want to let go, all right? So death gives, this idea of death, it gives everyone the opportunity to let go. You know what I'm saying? Let go of that which has been actually killing you. You know what I mean? Let go. Because when you're going to when you're going to change your clothes, for example, there is the process of letting go of the clothes you previously were wearing or presently wearing, and you need to let go by how? There's different ways of letting go, but letting go by coming out of those clothes and then step into some new clothes. But you first have to let go of the old clothes. You see what I'm saying? Yeah? The clothes you are changing from to enter into the clothes you're changing into. So there's a letting go process. When you've eaten too much or when you've eaten certain things and your body has taken the nutrients out of that, but what's left the body cannot use, then the body gets rid of it. Letting go. And we all know how good letting go can feel. Letting go don't have to always be, a painful process, which it more times is perceived as, because one's emotional, attachment to what you've become so familiar with has now become your identification. So it feels like some part of you is being torn away, when it's not you being torn away, it's your attachment to a false ID that has now become familiar. And now when something becomes familiar, you begin to fuse into like an emotional attachment to it, and now it becomes a part of your identity. So when that now has to be let go of, usually this is why you see the whole thing with funerals, because people, places, and things, people are fused. We are emotionally fused with others that we're in a way deriving aspects of our identity from. So when that mother, father, brother, sister, great friend or lover or husband or who you've had a lot of repetition with, a lot of something that someone or a situation that you have had a lot of experience with, in the sense of like when you're doing something and it becomes a routine, now it becomes familiar. And now you develop a sense of security around it, a certain emotional security around this familiar thing. And you keep doing it, and it becomes, you now fuse your emotions with it. Now it becomes an emotional attachment. So now you begin to in a way emotionally identify with it as an aspect of yourself. So when you're getting fused with things external to you, when they are coming out of your life or having to leave, this is when the pain can be experienced. The letting go process becomes painful, okay? because you're so identified with that which you're emotionally attached to. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is Pluto also represents past lives or unconscious emotional attachments, which is where your insecurities start coming up from the unconscious, your fears of being, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to be left, these fears that come up. You're stepping into the unknown, basically. So there is also that is in the waters, in the waters of change. There's also the fear of stepping into this new sense of self because it's unknown. All right. So, but this change is imminent because, as I said, it's a 35-year of an attachment, of a way of being that no longer can be moved forward. You cannot move forward with this way of being anymore. Okay. So the universe is assisting us all to fulfill our soul's intention, because the universe supports the fulfillment of your soul's intention. So when we're getting caught up in the egoic stuff and getting annoyed about why such and such hasn't happened and why we haven't, sometimes there's some things the universe wouldn't manifest for you because it's not in alignment with your soul. The universe is supporting your soul because your soul is the reality of you. The ego is basically a vehicle to assist us to integrate our experiences that we're having, for us to be consciously aware of our own inner evolution, on a soul level, how we are growing and expanding, so we consciously can integrate those experiences, rather than be unconscious of those experiences while they're happening. So your ego helps you assimilate these experiences. As more of it begins to dissolve away, the more you are aligning with your true self, your higher self, your source of being. Then the ego dissolves into that love, and now there's no separative consciousness or separative thoughts or thinking. There's nothing jumping in to sabotage your sense of who you are anymore, because the ego, the mind, everything's looking for love, right? But it wants this everlasting love, this love that don't change, this love that is eternal. So the mind needs always to focus on something in order to keep the mind out the way while you dive deep. Otherwise you get caught up in all this analyzing. The mind is analyzing things, and also you're trying to analyze things you don't understand with a mental bias you're already bringing to it. So the mind can get in the way of you actually just being in the stillness and the space, experiencing the spaciousness of yourself. The mind is there. So the thing is, the mind is looking for everlasting love. The moment the mind realizes, oh, that's when the mind goes quiet. The mind will dissolve into the ocean of consciousness. So in a way, when we're chatting about this ego and this separatist mindset, the ego is necessary as a lens, like a lens on a camera, so you can actually see images and light. If you didn't have a lens on a camera, the images will just be diffused fuzziness. You wouldn't really be able to make out anything, any form, any color, anything vividly. So the lens on the camera is a bit like your ego, the personal self-image. But the thing is, you get people to say you got to get rid of the ego. Not really, because the ego plays a part, but the ego ain't you. It's when you're forcefully identifying with the ego so strongly, that's when stuff gets really messy and really, this is what you're seeing a lot in the world, because the ego is just about protecting you from external harm and to bring to you what makes you happy, but that's it. The ego doesn't have any insight. It lacks subjectivity, and it's always jumping to your defense because that's what it's there to keep, to assure your survival. Okay, the protection of your individuality from external harm, and to also bring you what makes you happy, so you can have some personal satisfaction, personal joy, and personal sense of safety. But beyond that, the ego doesn't know anything much. It's just a knee-jerking survival instrument to always try to protect you. So this is the reason why, you know, from the ego perspective, people can jump to in defense if they feel the ego feels threatened. It's going to jump and be in defense. You know, you're going to react in a defensive way, or you may be on the offense. You know, because you may perceive the person as a threat. And that's how the ego will look at it, because remember, the ego is just there to protect you. You know what I mean? So its reaction is either offense or defense. That's it. It doesn't know anything else. So the ego is really a tool that needs to be directed by the master, all right? The soul, okay? And then through going deep into your soul, you'll start to connect to what they call your higher self, which is really universal consciousness. The higher self-consciousness is universal. The higher self-consciousness of your soul is universal, okay? Your soul is multidimensional and has lived prior existences and multiple existences, and it exists outside of time. So we can be having multiple experiences or life experiences simultaneously at the same time. You see what I mean? But that's going off into all of this physics and this science and what's not. But that's what's going on. So this is your soul. So your soul's coming here to further expand and to rid itself from past memories that no longer serve it. Okay? So it can free itself from a perpetuating cycle that your soul's come back, caught up on, and you're living out the repeat of stuff that has gone before. But what's going on now is that this repeat has just gone on too long. Certain cycles and loops, karmic cycles and loops, various ones have caught up. We find ourselves caught in. Now we're in the time where it's like, you know what? Let's end this karmic contract, whatever the thing it is. Let's just blow it out the water. Get rid of this. It's done. Yeah, because the soul's truth, the evolution supports the soul. The universe is supporting the soul. So anything that's going contrary to the soul's evolutionary intention is going to have to get knocked out, get checked, and burnt out. It's going to have to get burnt out and, destroyed. In order for a new construction from out of the old, but something that is beyond what has gone before, to now come into being. And this is why I said Pluto squaring Aries, the moon in Aries, and squaring the sun in Libra that we have just had a few days back. A day ago, 2 days ago. This is the reason why Pluto is not just about transformation, it's about transmutation. You are going to be changing in a way that is completely different to how you have been for the last 35 years. That's what I'm saying. Which means that people presently in the relationships you've been having will never recognize you as that being again. You most will be moving away and transforming them out of your life if there is not a mutual change going on here. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's not about what others are doing. It's about what's going on with you, because this is why it's full moon in Aries. It's about the self, but the intrinsic self. So let me just hit something here as well, touch on something more. Let me touch on something more about this change, because this is also a very positive, because it's how you're going to experience it. There's so much variables in the way it could be experienced that I don't want to generalize and say it's one thing to fit all. I'm just giving you an energy impetus of what, so you can maybe reflect on yourself, because this is about inner reflection. The moon, full moon in Aries. This is not a time about, oh yeah, let me go out there and be expressing myself and move, and yeah, now I'm doing what I want to do. This is a time to reflect upon this new you. Really reflect upon it deeply, because as I said, this is about the soul that is emerging. This is not about what you from the ego identification have been catering to, or been catering to other people's egos, their personal self-image, their idea of what they are and what they think you should be for them in order for their needs to be met. Libra is also codependency. You can get caught up in codependency. So you don't really want to be in a relationship, but you're living together because it's easier for you to live in the same house. You know, you get some people that they've always been living with someone to the point where, you know, you could even, you could have moved in with each other because you were partners, and then during things, then you're no longer partners. You know what I'm saying? Now you're friends, so to speak, living in the same house because it's easier for two to pay the rent than one to try to find all the money for themselves. So you get certain people who kind of like, they've always lived their lives living with someone, okay? And then what ends up happening, they don't know how to be by themselves or with themselves. They've never experienced that. But yet they think they know who they are. They think they're, you know, they don't have any, you know, issues around who they believe themselves to be. Because they've always been basically defining themselves based upon the partner they're with, all right? Or who they're living with, you know? So, but more times this is a codependency, because now when these people have to experience living by themselves, being by themselves, feeling for themselves, thinking for themselves, deciding for themselves, it's like, what? This is foreign. I've never done this. What? You see what I mean? So this is how they can experience that, man. So Libra can be codependency. And now it's like, no, man, I got to break away from that stuff because it's been weakening you. It hasn't been enabling you to tap into and to have a more of an integral relationship with yourself. You see what I'm saying? You can always blame the other person, or you can always manipulate the other person that you're seeking to fulfill your needs or get your needs fulfilled by that other individual. You see what I mean? This stuff is kind of broad, you know? But the thing is, it's about ultimately, as I said, the relationship with yourself. So Pluto. Why I'm talking about it more, because it's about the soul. Some will talk about the moon and the sun and go into about, okay, yeah, we got Mercury, all right, getting ready to retrograde soon, in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is about the inwardness. This is why inward. And this is why it's an inner reflection on the structure you have of your consciousness you have been holding on to from the past up to this now. And are you going to commit with this transmutation? Yeah? Are you going to commit to this inner change? You see what I mean? Are you going to commit to this this need to now take the responsibility for yourself to step into self-mastery, okay, and more maturity in order to grow and develop into this new sense of yourself that is rising within you, coming from the deeper core of yourself, which is the soul's awareness coming through, okay? So with this retrograde we're going to be having in Mercury in Scorpio, what comes up during this time is going to be the things that needs to be worked out, okay? What's coming up through the subconscious are the things that needs to be dissolved, are the things that's going to give you the theme to realize, oh, you know what I mean? What you need to purify and purge out of yourself, you see? Could be the values you've been carrying, which are from, again, programs, you know, other folk. It's not you. The desires you've been looking to fulfill may not be your soul's desires. They're just being your egoic stuff. You see what I'm saying? So all of this purging in order to get to the soul's desire, so you can be true to this true self of yours, this intrinsic nature, which is arising in the awareness of Aries, okay? And for you to be in alignment with your soul's desire and therefore be expressing yourself from the core, from your intrinsic self. You see what I'm saying? Through the love of yourself. Because it's interesting, Libra is Venus. Libra is governed by Venus and Aries is governed by Mars. So Mars is your desire and the masculine energy, the fire. And in fire is where you find God. This is where you find the beginning. You know what I mean? Because it's not in the earth, it's not in the water, it's not in the air, it's in the fire. Existence. Fire symbolizes existence. It symbolizes life. It symbolizes energy. You see what I mean? It symbolizes creation. Yeah? Fire. Creativity. So the symbology of the fire, and then when we're looking into all the fire tribes, the fire signs, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, all of these are dealing with inspiration, the intuition. This is dealing with the spirit. This is dealing with existence, the creator itself. So, for example, if you come in here with a fire sign as your ascendant, you have come in here to know God. You see what I mean? You're coming here to know and understand the creator. That's the reason why you're here. In fact, as I said already, your chart is about how you have chosen to remember or rediscover the source of your existence, to wake up to the source of your being, to consciously realize and express the divinity within you by knowing your God source. That is why you're here. If you don't do that, then you're living unconsciously and caught up in the human condition, and yes, you're going to have your woes, all right? And these woes now become what people believe is a part of life, and this is how it is. And, you know, that's what happens because we're only human. And you see, all of those are erroneous beliefs you're holding on to that keeps you into this human domain, dealing with this humanity, which is the ego, all right? When you should be looking for the divinity within the humanity so you can liberate yourself from the woes of humanity, because down here is called the vales of tears. It's where you experience tribulation when you have forgotten who you are because you've been caught up. You've been brought in. You've come in here and inherited a certain system that's already been going on before you incarnated, and therefore that inheritance is also part of an ancestral thing. You know, all those who were before you, who bought into the same thing and got caught up in it. So you've come in and inherited this systematic mind control, social, societal, cultural manipulation of your consciousness to have you keep playing a particular role which makes you cut off from your real self, okay? So now you end up becoming a slave within a system that doesn't really value the individual. You're just there to be sacrificed to others or to a higher cause. Yo, man, check it out. This is the philosophy of Plato, man, which has developed the Western world, okay, mentality. And which is influenced or being superimposed upon everyone around the world through colonization. So now the time is to kind of readdress this imbalance, okay, and to tune in to your own, to the mastermind in you, to the cosmic mind, if you want to say, yeah, the intrinsic nature. So Aries is really the fire sign dealing with the divine spark. I am, and I talked about I am on the show before. What you add to I am will be added onto you. Because woe unto they who use the name of the Lord in vain. He who used the name of the Lord in vain shall not be held guiltless. So you hear these terms and you think, they're just religious nonsense. Oh, this theologian stuff. Yeah, the theologian has made you not understand what this really is. It's made you believe this shit is literal. You take what is allegorical into a literal thing. But when you're dealing with spiritual coded truths, just like symbols, you have to know how to decode them. And if you don't decode it spiritually, then you're not going to get the inner juice of this stuff. You're not going to get the inner truth of it. So many people, you know, with their arrogance and what they, you know, can understand that you're going to be, get rid of this stuff, you know, because a lot of us have had religions superimposed upon us, okay? And we knew inside of ourselves, nah, this is not true in this. But what it is, what wasn't true in it, is what was being told to us, how it's being interpreted, okay? And it's just like having a conversation with someone, and then now the listener's misinterpreting what they're hearing the other person says, and then now goes and repeat what this other person says, totally out of context from what that individual actually meant. You know what I mean? And then that then turns into more distortion as it gets passed on down the road, and then now, you know, what was originally said has been taken out of context completely based upon who first heard it and misinterpreted it. You see what I'm saying? And then passed on that misinterpretation to other people, you know? It's an erroneous version, okay? But it doesn't mean there's no truth in something, in the source of where, you know, where it originated from, okay? But anyway, this is not no Bible class study. I'm just talking about dealing with the unpacking of these jewels, these gems that if you have to have spiritual understanding to be able to understand this stuff. You can't understand this stuff with a carnal mind. this fleshy, conditioned, bias, prejudice, bigoted points of view that we walk around with. Yeah? Or you get polarized in a point of view that a certain group you belong to have, which now you're in another box, because you have to think within the boundaries of the group. Okay, you got to wear the certain garbs that the group wear. If you don't wear and comply to what the group's conditions are, then now you're seen as a disruptor. You know, you can't be yourself. You see what I'm saying? Especially if you now realize that who you are while you're in the group is more than what this group is presenting. And now you want to expand beyond the group. And now you feel like if you step, you're getting judged by those who are in the group. You see, this is why groups and associations is no point being in this stuff in this day and time. I'm telling you, because groups are another cage. Groups are another limitation. You have a relationship with groups which are okay as long as you adhere to the thinking and the doctrine and the criterias or the dress code of the group. The moment you think outside of that box, the moment you start to, have, more of an expansion, because really you should be tuning into the infinite intelligence. But you're going to get caught up in these groups to identify yourself with. That's going to become a prison too. Okay? It's not about any of these groups and what you're associating with. If it's not what you prefer, then what you're associating with, your mind's, your mindset and emotional patterns getting plugged into those circuits. Okay? And then you're going to be amplifying, you're sending your energy to amplify more destruction or more discomfort, okay? Based on the beliefs that these groups carry, that you're a part of, or you're associated with those type of mindsets, and you become part of the circuit within it. And it amplifies in you, okay? The fear, the anger, the pain, the trauma, if that's what you are. If you're associating with groups in that way, these are the type of relationships listen, man. This is the stuff. So being in groups ain't even a thing. Definitely not. Because as I said, and then the group's got an agenda, and you can only go as far as the agenda. You can only think as far as the agenda. You can't think beyond the agenda. Because when you go to a certain point in the agenda, you're now looking to somebody else outside of you. So what next? Tell me what to do next. What am I going to think next? So these groups, man, and associations, I know some folk find it cozy because they feel it's like a surrogate family that they've never had, and they feel a sense of belonging there. But that's an insecurity that you're using the group to foster for you, because when you're going to want to now, because it's about individuation, people. You got to find the source in you, yeah? So this change is imminent, as I said. So it's about what kind of relationship you want to have with yourself. So when you look into Libra and you look at its nature, Venus, this is about love, beauty. Libra is about balance. Well, it's about finding the balance, because Libra is usually imbalance and indecisive and go to extreme. It's either this or either that. It's either or. But the thing is, why does it have to be either or, in the sense that the way you're perceiving something as, because we've been conditioned based on this belief in separation. You have to pick a side. This idea. You got to, if someone believes a certain thing and you must believe it, then yeah, cool with you. But if you're growing beyond what you used to maybe agree with, what they believed, you both believe, and you no longer hold that same point of view, then you're going to find how you and them, the relationship, how you fall out. Yeah? Because you are no longer agreeing with the point of view you may used to have, which actually formulated this resonance between you and somebody else to have this this agreement, okay? But say you growing now beyond those ideas, and you're actually tapping into yourself and actually growing beyond doctrine, growing beyond dogmas, yeah? And you now beginning to perceive the truth beyond the veil of all of these pseudo beliefs, okay? All these egoic limited ideologies that people buy into. And then you're no longer going to be finding yourself in agreement with those you used to be in agreement with, because you no longer share the same view, okay? Now, what you believe determines how you interpret life. So some people's belief is their life to rise. You know, if that gets challenged, then who are they? Who am I? Who that, you know, their whole identity is around this belief they have taken on. And they haven't really seek to know who they really truly are beyond these flipping beliefs, because that's what the belief is. Now, I asked somebody a question the other day. I said, what is the difference between truth and belief? And I asked this, but it was also a question that I know the answer to. It's also a question that even my son has asked this question to, you know, to so-called spiritual teachers, imams, you know. They wouldn't give him an answer. He knows the answer. But my question is, what I'm saying is, what is the difference between truth and belief? You see? Now, I asked somebody that question last night, and they gave a good answer. Their answer was, truth is the intrinsic, deeper core essence of yourself, and belief is stuff that you've just been taught to accept as so, right? I said, okay, that's a good one. That's good, and that's you know, there's closeness in that. I you know, that's cool. But the reply, here's another way. The reply or the answer to this in a more simpler way. Not saying that what the individual did say wasn't true, because yeah, this is why we talk about getting to the innermost self, because that's where the truth is. Yeah. But what I end up saying was the difference between truth and belief, and this is important. Get this if you can get it. Yeah. Because a lot of people want to turn around and say, well, belief, well, there's no truth. Because you see, what people believe, that is true. And therefore, truth is relative. So therefore, there's no absolute truth because it doesn't exist. You see, these are the type of things people are saying through cerebral processes, not through direct experience. All right? So these limitations people chuck out there, and they could become your limitation too if you believe in it. But the difference between truth and belief is simply this. Beliefs change. You all know beliefs change. Beliefs change, which some people can hold and say this is their truth. And when that belief changes, so is what they thought was true changes. So belief changes, but truth doesn't change. So I'm talking about the ultimate truth, that which is the reality and the only reality within all of creation, and actually is the true essence of ourselves within ourselves that exists in all creation. Okay? So that truth, where it never changes, its identity, its nature always stays the same. You see what I mean? Truth is what changes. Excuse me. Truth is what never changes. Truth is what is always what it is. Truth is something that you can find is true throughout the boundless universe. Yeah? So truth or reality, this is eternal. Yeah? It's limitless. It's absolute. It's immutable. But beliefs are mutable. Beliefs change. Beliefs come and go. People die, create wars out of beliefs. Yeah? So beliefs change and truth doesn't. Just like there is, you know, the difference between opinions, because everybody just thinks that what anyone is saying is an opinion, because they themselves haven't gone deep into the innermost sanctuary of their own selves, the Holy of Holies, in order to discover and experience the truth directly for their own self. A truth that is beyond man-made, you know, man-made, human, carnal-minded interpretations and limitations of just judging shit based on what they're seeing in front of them, okay? Or just observing stuff and then, okay, I've observed that, and now I'm assigning a certain meaning to it, and now that becomes a blanket meaning onto everything that looks like what they observed. You see, all of them things. All that's man-made stuff. It's not dealing with the reality of anything at all, you see. So beliefs change, truth does not. So I'm talking about the absolute truth, not relative. Because of course, what someone wants to believe, for them, if they have enough conviction and trust in that, then it will become true for them. You see what I'm saying? But it's going to be relative. It's not going to be a reality that can be found in everything. Yeah? So I'm talking about that truth. The truth that is the reality within all of existence. That truth that never changes. You see? That truth that can never end, that can never die, that has no time, that exists beyond time and space. That truth which is eternal. You know what I mean? That truth which is beyond eternity. Because even eternity came out of that truth. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about that truth. The eternal, yeah? The eternal, living, creative intelligence of the divine creative life force, the all originating creative spirit within you. That is the truth I'm talking about. That never changes. But forms and beliefs and structures, all of that can change and be rearranged to become another vehicle of expression for the everlasting truth, you see. So some folk who, with the limitations, they will, their idea of truth, well, nobody knows the truth. Truth, there's no absolute truth. Absolute truth don't exist, you know what I mean? And these people they don't even know what truth is. They've never experienced, they're talking cerebrally. And a lot of people will try to project their opinions to be like, well, or make out that a truth being said is just somebody else's opinion. You see, because the mind does not know how to discern the difference between truth and facts. So the limitations of this human idea of who you believe you are superimposes their limitations upon everybody else. If they can't fathom something, then nobody can fathom it. Don't make other people's limitations in their thoughts and their thinkings and self become yours. Because what you are and what reality is an unlimited essence in itself. You see what I mean? It's unlimited. It's unconditioned. It does not have these parameters and limitations that the human mind conceives of. So don't make nobody, turn around and tell you that absolute truth don't exist just because that's where they're limited at. Okay? If that's where they're at, that's where they're at. But don't make that become your limitation, because what you're dealing with is infinite, which is unlimited. Yeah? You see what I'm saying? So this is important. And so the relationship with oneself is really what's coming under some serious transmutation. And I say transmutation because you're going to become unrecognizable. You know what I mean? In the sense of how you were before to how you're going to become, what's coming into being, what's arising, Aries arising within you. Okay? So Pluto is applying big pressure, right? Which is saying to you, you must change. Change is imminent. It's happening in the world, it's happening within the collective, and it's happening within the individual and the relationships of individuals. You see what I'm saying? So you're not meant to really stay the same. Nothing's meant to stay the same. So how are you supposed to stay the same? You see what I mean? And you get when I say stay the same, nothing's meant to stay the same within time and space. Change is inevitable. But you see, the thing is, in order for you to change, is necessary in order for you to discover that which doesn't change, which is your true intrinsic self. So you weren't meant to just stay on a certain level and not grow. Put it that way. Yeah, because no change indicates no growth, and no growth indicates death. And death basically is an oxymoron because there's only life. So death is just basically, okay, letting go. Drop it. Drop it. It's kind of the ending of a particular a particular experience in time and space. In order to let that go, move on, sojourn to more of a grander experience, not to keep on the loopity-loop experiencing the same thing. You see? So Pluto going direct now is applying that pressure. So there is something rising up, basically. What's rising up what's rising up and within you for you to see something in yourself at a higher level of consciousness. This is what's required for the maturity. There is a need for greater maturity to take place. So you may be having an argument and really getting peed off with somebody that you've been dealing with for a long time, and then you come to realize that, flip man, they're immature. They're not at a certain level that you would expect them or desire them to be, and that's okay. But the thing is that you can't force someone to be at a certain level if they're not there yet. You need to know where you are, and you need to align with what resonates with you where you are. Yeah, rather than compensating all the time, which eventually start to make you feel a bit resentful. Yeah, because you're holding yourself back, trying to compromise yourself for somebody else who may not even give a, you know what I mean, much of a cahoots or see or even value what you're doing. You see, and but this is all about to thy own self be true. So this tension, so the soul's intention is to rise up through the pressures, right? It's rise, you know, through all of these energies that you're experiencing now. The soul wants to rise up through it all. Yeah, where the ego is going to make you feel afraid of stepping into something that's unknown. You see, so, and then as I said, this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio is where you're going to end up having, which October the 31st till November the 28th. This is where you're going to be having the all of what, you know, is coming up to be reviewed. You know what I'm saying? All of what's coming up from the subconscious to be purged out of you. Yeah, this is whatever it is. That's the theme you're coming to work out until you burn that out, and then after that process, you'll be when Saturn conjuncts Pluto, which was going to be, I think, in the next 78 days. This is when the new you is going to become quite evident to yourself and others. So, you know, this is all preparation. So yeah, so Pluto's, so you got the lessons here of Pluto. Pluto's dealing with the soul. Pluto's dealing with life, death, and transmutation. The Pluto, you're dealing with all the subconscious desires, previous lifetimes, you know, evolutionary growth. You know, it's also dealing with self or soul empowerment. So there can be a tapping into unreserved power through this retrograde in Mercury and Scorpio. And, you know, as you become aware of certain karmic stuff that you need to purge outside of you and let go. Okay, so there's a purging and karmic clearing going on. You know, it's also a magical time because Pluto is very psychic and magical and powerfully spiritually powerful. Okay, because this is your soul power. So it's magical. It's how you can live a magical life through knowing how to direct your spiritual power. You know, and I'm going to do a show on that more in depth at another time. What this spiritual power is, your creative energy, the pure divine sexual energy, life force in you. But this goes into, you know, there needs to be a strong maturity to deal with this insight here. But you're dealing with the magical powers of the soul. Okay, you know, you're dealing with also a catalyst, that which activates evolutionary intention to be spurred on. You know, and it's emotional intensity you're dealing with. All of this energy, which is dealing with the Plutonian power, which is related to your soul. So the blessings of Pluto are related to our personal path of evolution or growth or unfoldment. Yeah, our soul's mission, basically, the path of evolution or growth or expansion of that our soul chose when the soul, the self, decided to take on a body, which is your creative vehicle. You know, that to move that moves you through time and space. Now, when we come in here, we don't remember. We don't remember all of that which was pre-incarnation. Because when we come in here on this earthly plane is when we get distracted by a lot of the earth, you know, by a lot of the programming that is present here on the earthly plane. So, you know, this programming comes from parents, it comes from society, social media, culture, all of these programs. So this conditioning, you know, of many things these conditioning now is really all about 3D, the material plane. This is what Saturn also governs, because it enables you to manifest your ideas, your beliefs on the physical plane. So that's more Saturn's lessons. Yeah. So what what happens, we get these, when we come here, we get distracted from the cause, which causes us to forget our soul's desire. So we get caught up on the ego desire, worldly desire, you know what I mean? And so when we come in here, we forget our soul's desire and mission, what our mission actually is. So part of what Pluto is coming in here to do now is to destroy anything that has been placed on the path, in the way, that is keeping your soul from staying, or keeping you from staying on your soul mission or trajectory. Okay? So Pluto's here to destroy what's keeping you from remaining on your soul's mission and trajectory. Okay? So it's kind of like your soul, your spiritual power. Yeah, it's your power to, when stuff gets too ingrained in the amnesia, well, your soul power kicks in, because you're here for your soul. The universe is supporting your soul's fulfillment of its intention. The ego is a construct. It's your body. It's not real. You know, it's a vehicle. It's a tool. Yeah? There's no reality really in the ego at all. So, you know, when somebody's body passes away, you know, that's their ego. That's gone. You see what I mean? But who they are, lives on. Yeah? The life force, the intelligence, consciousness of their soul lives on. Okay? And then that soul's going to reconstruct another ego structure in order for it to be the vehicle for it to continue, expand, and grow for, you know, beyond the lessons that it may not have managed to master in the previous incarnation. You see what I'm saying? So it's about focusing on reality, which is your soul. So the Plutonian energy is also a transmuting force. So it means then that you're not just changing, is more than that. It's like there's a destruction for reconstruction into something that looks totally different to the structure that you was before, like a metamorphosis, mutation of a butterfly. You know what I mean? You got the caterpillar. I mean, that's such a brilliant example to be used for so many other things, because it's living there. It's right there. You got a caterpillar, and you see the shape of that. Then it kind of, you know, is eating, getting fat until it creates a cocoon, right? And then it turns into a liquid where the previous form was dissolved. Yeah, liquid. So fire is involved with that, because fire is what heats up to turn solid into liquid. This is the reason why your immune system would kick in if you catch a so-called flu, so-called cold, then your temperature, or you get a fever. That's your body, that's your immune system hitting up that fire to dissolve any solids into liquid so they can be more easily passed out of the body and purged. Okay? And we are going through a purge of toxic thoughts, toxic emotion, toxic ideas, toxic feelings, you know what I'm saying? Toxic ways, you know, that don't serve you. Toxic food, burn it out, man. Purge out the toxicity. Purge the poison, because the body can't use it. So what the body can't use, it gets rid of. Purges itself from it. You know what I'm saying? So you got Pluto energy, which is a transmuting. So you're going through this fire, turning the form into liquid, because that's why I said fire is God, fire is source, fire is the creative power. Yes, yes, yes. But don't take that literal, like jump into fire now and burn up yourself. I'm talking about the fire of life, you see. You got the element of fire on that level, but I'm talking about God fire, source fire. That's where existence comes forth from. The explosion of universal consciousness is what birthed creation, you see. It was an explosion. They tell you it's a big bang. Yeah, a big bang. You see, within a lie, there is a truth, and within the truth, there's a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot really get rid of the whole truth. You see what I'm saying? Because you need the truth as a foundation to even make the lie convincing. You see what I'm saying? So, the Big Bang. Well, you're talking about an explosion, but it was an explosion of consciousness. Because when you're going to send and say a bang. Well, what caused the bang? That's like one thing colliding into another. That's how you imagine a bang. And if it's going to be dynamite, then who lit the fuse? You know what I'm saying? So all of these ideas are kind of very infantile because you're still imagining something outside of yourself. But when you're dealing with the all in one divine consciousness, you're dealing with power. You're dealing with the creative life force intelligence. You're not dealing with separate things. You're dealing with the very nature and character of that very originating source, the originating creative spirit of life and light. Yeah, you're talking about its nature. So you can have an explosion go off in your consciousness, in your awareness, like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, an experience of, freaking total disarray. But it takes place inside of you. You've experienced explosion taking place inside of you. It was nothing external. No external material, became flammable, exploded. No, you exploded within yourself. So there is that nature of an explosion they call a bang. You know what I mean? But it was the explosion of consciousness. Okay? Fire. You know what I'm saying? And sons are the first born, yeah, heavenly bodies, yeah, in space. And out of the suns are birthed what they call planets. They call planets, they say it's referring it to wandering stars because they wander around where the sun is fixed. It becomes a central point. You see what I'm saying? But even the sun is rotating around a greater circle anyway, center anyway. So everything is moving in spirals. But the point I'm saying, there was an explosion and we're dealing with fire as the source of existence. You see? So the fire signs is about the divine itself. And the air signs are about the desire to know the divine. You see what I'm saying? The earth sign is the work you do to work. You're working towards realizing the divine. You see what I mean? And the water is the spiritual deeds you do. Yeah? As a duty to the divine. You see, these are what your signs or the water elements mean when you're dealing with really with astrology. And really out of the ether, which is the spirit, that is the source of all the four elements. You see what I'm saying? So spirit is this is the higher fire we're chatting about. You see? The eternal flame. Yeah? The eternal life. You see? So plutonium, so you're dealing with the transmutation where fire turns solid to liquid and then reconstructs that now pliable substance into a new form that takes on a shape that's completely different in resemblance to what it was before. Hence you get the term phoenix rising out of the ashes. This is transmutation. Yeah? This is where you get a butterfly. Completely different to a caterpillar. So this is the transmutation. So this is different to transformation. Yeah, just giving you the difference, make you see that transmutation is the power of your soul. So is transformation. Yeah, but transmutation is transmuting into something completely different to what you were before. You know what I'm saying? Something new beyond what has gone before, because that's the nature of life. That's the nature of the whole nature of life, intelligence. It is growth and expansion. It's always for the divine operation is always for expansion and more fuller expression, okay, of producing something that goes beyond what has gone before. So this is how something new is always produced out of the old. So you never stay static and you never get stuck. You see what I mean? In stuff that's no longer working. So that's why it's necessary for transformation and transmutation when things get too stagnant, when things are threatened, when something comes to it actually threaten the forward trajectory of life. Because life is a forward moving energy. Yeah? It's not backward moving. It grows out of what preceded before, but what always is produced is that which goes beyond what has gone before. So it's always something new. You see what I'm saying? And that's the nature of the divine operation. You know what I mean? Which is working through oneself if you're not interfering with it by allowing your human mind with its limited ideas and illusions to get in the way of the love works of the divine source inside. You see what I'm saying? Which is the source. Your source. The source is within you. Your very soul is the source of your being. And the deeper, innermost aspect of your soul is what you call your higher self, which is universal in its awareness. It is this universal consciousness. So really, we are the manifestation of universal consciousness. You see what I'm saying? So this is when you're dealing with intrinsic nature, intrinsic self. So this full moon in Aries, you can see when I'm talking about change, we're talking about a relationship with self that has to what you decided. Because where you decide is where you are going to be focusing and channeling your creative energy. Because you are, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, creative life force energy. But you are that which is that directs this power. So if you're not directing it, it's getting directed by something. And therefore, your creative energy is going into creating things that you're focusing your energy on, unconsciously to yourself. So this is why it's all about becoming, becoming a conscious creator, looking for source inside yourself, not out there up in the sky, because basically consciousness is within you and all around you, and this malleable fluid of creative power surrounds us, and it's directed by our intentions. It's directed by our conscious awareness of ourself in relationship to this substance, okay? All-pervading substance, this light, that which all has been created out of. We are that primordial energy, which has been known as sexual energy, which is the pure divine sexual energy that is not just for procreation. Yeah, it's for creation on every level, and regeneration, healing, regenerating you. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, so we're dealing with this Plutonian energy, which is a transmuting force, and I just explained what that is. And you're dealing with what doesn't operate on this plane. So you're going to have the ego going to be all like, oh my God, if there was a God, why would he come and destroy all of this and blah, blah, blah? Why are you destroying and killing? And the source don't destroy anything. It can't destroy anything that's real. It can only destroy what's not. So if you're more identified with the egoic attachment to what your force identity is being constructed by, then yeah, you're going to be feeling, oh my gosh, yeah. The ego's going to freak out, all right? The ego with the little e, that's going to freak out, And if it's going to freak out, it freaks out. But the thing is that Pluto don't give a about that, because you see, when you're operating on a different level, you see, the ego's operating on a 3D earthly material level, whereas the soul is operating on a higher level, the spiritual level. So it knows the reality of itself and the reality behind this illusion that the ego is caught upon. You see what I'm saying? And oh my gosh, holding on to, and therefore, as I said, the emotional attachment and more of the emotional infusion to that, which you're becoming emotionally attached to, familiar with, now becomes part of your identity. So now when that becomes, oh my gosh, threatened to be taken away or changed or, to be disappeared or removed from you, then the ego's going to flip out. It's all about, like, it's dying, survival. Now it's the fear. Now you're operating and you're motivated through the fear to try to preserve and protect, not out of love, but out of fear, which you're scared of losing. You see? So more folks are more caught up in fear than they are the love, which of their intrinsic self, because the love don't have no opposite to it. Now you see things said, and there you're gonna have a whole bit different opinions. And then there's the thing, when I mentioned opinion earlier, is that there's a saying where it's like opinions are many, principles are few. Right? Opinions often change, principles never do. So that's the difference between principle and opinion, and also the difference between truth and belief. Belief are like opinions, they change. But truth are like principles, they don't. A principle runs true throughout all of existence. So, you see what I'm saying. This is about really coming into more of a sophisticated, entering into a more sophisticated relationship with yourself to know thyself. You see what I'm saying? What kind of relationship you want to have is your choice. Now, Libra is about love, harmony, balance, peace, beauty, happiness, health, success, wealth, and prosperity. You can put all of that and that in there, because you're deciding what kind of relationship you really want to have with yourself. So now when you make that decision, you're dealing with the energy, yin, the yin energy, the feminine. Watch you then generate as a magnetic field inside of you, which generates an electrical current, And therefore, when you start to emit this new found relationship you're now having with yourself, because you found yourself, okay? Now you're dealing with just love. You're dealing with the love, the harmony, yeah, the peace, the balance, the beauty, the happiness, the joy, the health, the success, the wealth, the prosperity, the unlimited resources, you know, because now we want to align with the abundance of ourselves. You see? So we're now dealing with a deeper power, a higher power within ourselves that the whole universe, including this planet and ourselves, have been drawn out from. So don't worry about, you know, how the planet's going to get itself on. The planet has incredible, amazing, all-powerful regenerative power. It can regenerate, heal itself. You know what I mean? It's the egos that want to keep you running around about humanity. Humanity is the ego, the folly. Okay? Save humanity. The only thing you can save, the only thing you know about saving humanity, no, man, you want to wake up to your divinity. You know what I mean? Because humanity is the darkness that covers your divinity from you. Look how many people are telling you, and they're saying that they're spiritually aware. You know, have you done the work within? Have you gone in and sit in the silence and penetrate, observe what's coming up? You know, have you gone have you taken the journey within, you know, to the galactic center of yourself? Sagittarius, yeah. And that Jupiter is coming closer to the galactic center soon too. So all of the stuff is going to get more intense. But it can be a wide awakening, soul awakening for many, or it's going to be like, my gosh, you know, dark fate, judgment day for others. Oh, see, I'm moving with certain things. I noticed on a bus the other day, one of you guys may have noticed it, the new Terminator movie coming out. Telling you that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in it too. Yeah? Still? Okay. But anyway, it's called Dark Fate. Judgment Day has come. Look at that. Around the time that Saturn's gone direct and Pluto's gone direct and Jupiter's gone direct, and that soon Jupiter's going to go over the galactic center, and soon you're going to get Saturn conjuncting Pluto at 23 degrees. Now, come on. I told you they put out movies. Nothing is done by chance. Everything is working with occult astrology. Yeah? So now you got Judgment Day coming, right? And it's on the 23rd of October. Just before what? We get the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Lord! You see, synchronicity, y'all. Huh? And you're going to see how all of this plays out. Because everything is energy, and all of it is interconnected. And the thing is that mastering yourself means that you don't get caught up in the collective consciousness, fear-based programming. You know what I mean? That, you know, is the reactionary stuff sooner you see things. You react, but you don't know what the reality is behind what you're seeing. You see? So this is all this human stuff. This is all this humanity stuff. Oh, we gotta save humanity. All of that is ego shit. Nonsense. And yes, folks are gonna disagree and all of that business, but it's ego-driven stuff based on fear and not knowing the true nature of reality. Huh? And there you are. Oh, we gotta save the planet. Hang on a second. The planet Earth has been drawn out from a higher power, consciousness, intelligence. So you mean to tell me that you think this planet needs you to kind of, oh my gosh, what, pour some water on some little flowers to kind of say we got to save the planet? That planet's got regenerative power. Yeah? It's yourself you need to work out. The planet's got amazing, divine, regenerative power. It knows what to do to heal itself and get rid of whatever is not necessary to be, you know what I mean? Remain on it, just like the body. Your body, what it can't work with, what the body can't use, what does our body do? It excretes it, gets rid of that. So, you know, buying into all of this egoic-based, ideologies, philosophy, to entrap people even further into the ego so you can be manipulated with this artificial intelligence and shit, when they're telling you, oh, that the earth, look what we're doing with it, and like, oh, the fragile earth. What egoic nonsense is that? Huh? No, man, you got to deal with the higher power within you. The higher power which all the universe, the suns, the planets, your souls, all life is being drawn out from. And I'm telling you, your ego can't do about that. You see what I mean? So there's a deeper power in yourself folk don't want you to connect to. So you got a group of folk who walk around telling you, we're only human, we're all human. And because we're all human, we have this. You don't talk for me. I'm not saying I talk for anybody out there, but if I'm resonating with you, then you know, it's just what you already know that I'm sharing, okay? That you agree with, you're in alignment with. You're in alignment with, you see. So what I'm saying, y'all, what I am saying is that it's about tuning in. It's about connecting to, it's the ultimate connection, the ultimate relationship is you and source, source and I. I mean, you might have heard this, a long time ago when I was growing up, and some of y'all was similar, you know what I mean, age group and that. There was a TV program that came on called The King and I. This English woman who was an English teacher for this king, this Chinese emperor, and for his son, and he would always say etc., 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 like he's learning English from this English woman that they're becoming fond of one another in their own way, even though they're very different in their whole blooming background and where they're coming from, two different parts of the world. But there was this thing, it was titled The King and I. You know what I'm saying? Well, y'all, it's called King, Source, and I. You know what I mean? It's about the source and I, the relationship. This woman was having the king and I. What I'm saying is about the relationship you're having with source. Source and I. Yeah? Source and I. The ultimate source and I. This is the new relationship that the soul is rising within you and what you need to have with yourself. So yeah. So there's going to be a lot of all of the subconscious patterns of compulsion and repeating things, like things that you've just been repeating, things that have been repeating itself through subconscious compulsion based upon past incarnation choices, desires, because everything stems from desire. Yeah, your choices comes from a desire, which then propels you into motion, the motivation, which then now sets into motion cause and effect. That's what karma is, cause and effect. And no one is none of us is. When I say no one, I said well, let me put it this way. Basically, many. Basically, you're not immune to the consequences of the law of causation. Basically, you plant corn, you plant a seed, a kernel of corn, you get a stalk of corn. You don't get mango, you don't get apples. You got to plant. So that's the cause and effect. You see what I'm saying? So the effect you want has to be equal to the cause. So the nature of what becomes the catalyst, the cause to bring forth the effect, the seed and the tree. You see what I mean? Then you have to be conscious for what you are planting. You want benevolent effects, then do benevolent things. So this is where you're dealing with source now, because it's the all goodness. When you're dealing with the ego, well, there's a saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So from the ego perspective, having good intentions ain't enough. You need to tap into the source that is good. It knows. You're dealing with the divine intelligence that, when you're in harmony with that, with its nature, which is your nature, only goodness can come forth. But when you're not in harmony with it, then you're creating things that is not of the perfection that source intelligence will create. But because you're a creator, you can create what the freak you want. But the run is that you have to reap you gotta reap what you sow. You're the one who's got to deal with it. All right? So if it's not harmonious and loving, then you're gonna have to change that, you see, by planting something far more in alignment with your soul's desires. So what else? Because I think I've said quite a bit, y'all. Dropped a lot of stuff here. So yeah, this is also to help us break out of these compulsion. This compulsion. What am I chatting? This compulsion, which is stemming from subconscious desires, which keep you in a repeating cycle of a particular situation. And this is what is coming to be broken. This is what, in order to facilitate this change. So, yeah. So, I think that's coming to a close, y'all. Because, wow, 2 hours have passed already. So basically, just to sum it all up, full moon in Aries is about a deep change that is not just we go through shifts and changes all the time from day to day, month to month, year to year. I'm not talking about that type of change. I'm talking about a change that has taken 35 years in the making to come. Something 35 years ago started something happened and started you to be a certain way that has now kept you stuck in this way for 35 years, which has not been in alignment with your intrinsic truth, with who you intrinsically are. So some Aries out there may have just burnt fire upon certain people, blast out certain, maybe some, again, relationship, how you're relating, but ultimately it's relation with yourself. But it's what's reflecting the change in you, what you can no longer maybe get on with, who you cannot no longer, put up all of this energy to try to get through to. They're now like, you know what? You just blast and burn fire upon them. See? That's how it can come up because you're dealing with Aries. And Aries can be instinctive and fire, bro. Fire, headstrong, And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if those who are sun sign Aries they let off. They might have been trying to hold it down, but they couldn't. Let off and let somebody fry up somebody tonight. That's what they did. And you know how that individual have to take it because they're getting a reflection of something going on there within themselves. Oh yeah, with that, there's one thing I need to say as well to change that. To add on to that, because yes, you do get reflections of what you're carrying within yourself. In somebody, in another, you see certain things in another, reflected in yourself and so forth. That is so. But when you are actually in an alignment, when you're dealing with integration, then you're dealing with the laws of the universe, which part of the laws is that the higher energy always works on the lower. So for example, if you have come home to yourself and you are focusing your creative energy to the love energy, the divine love energy you are. Now, love is high vibrational frequency, higher than the fear, the guilt, higher than the guilt, the shame, the fear, and those, low vibrations. So love now is a higher frequency than all of that, all right? Joy is higher than the love. Peace is way higher than, or equilibrium is way higher than the joy and the love. But these are entering into the higher regions of frequencies. So the higher frequencies, higher light always works on the lower. Because the higher transmutes the lower into something higher. But the lower frequency cannot work on the higher frequency. It doesn't, see? This is universal law. So these principles, the lower cannot work on the higher. The lower cannot transmute the higher, into anything. So the higher always works on the lower to transmute it. So what can happen is that if you were walking and your energy is really, and you stand in this is where some people have a misunderstanding of spirituality, because the higher energy you got when you're dealing with the love frequency, you can end up becoming an irritant to other people. Yeah. Because your frequency is upsetting what the lower density of energies in them, in the subconscious, and it's coming up to conscious awareness. And if you are in that warmth, in that place, and you just stay centered, and someone's now getting reactive because they're getting afraid, it's their unconscious fears coming up because the higher frequencies coming in. They're being exposed to a higher frequency, as your presence. And that is going to start to bring up all of that denser energy and start to clear it out. So things are going to come up to that individual, and they may even feel, when they attack you, angry, But you won't feel that energy on you because you are such in that frequency of your love vibration, source vibration, life force, that you know what's happening. You see what I mean? So you don't take nothing personal. But you can have an effect on, but they will think, oh, because they want to project and deflect, you know what I'm saying, what's coming up inside of themselves. So of course you can be see the one who's the problem. You're the cause of this. But no, you're bringing up what's inside of them. So in that case, it doesn't mean that someone who's now coming off with that shit to you is necessarily reflecting to you. In a way, you can say they're reflecting the fears that you would say you would know you're already done with. You've already cleaned out yourself. So that's why you're able to stand in the love frequency that you've now, you are established in within yourself, and see what's going on in the individual, for what it is, and stay in your love. You see what I'm saying? So it's important to understand that, because higher frequency always works on the lower. And the ego, when it's so entrenched in its illusion, will begin to fear the light and see it as, its enemy is going to kill it, So people who's caught up in that can react in a negative way to that. And their shit will multiply back onto them if they don't drop that negativity of resistance to the incoming of the love frequency. If they don't drop it and hold on to their resistance, hold on to their negativity, they will receive a tenfold, fourfold, tenfold return. Okay, because love energy doesn't actually fight, try to convert anyone. It's an effortless force. It's life itself. It's coming towards you. So if you're receiving that, it can heal you. If you let go of your warringness, if you let go of your resentment and your acidic type of toxic thoughts and attitudes you're having towards someone because you're projecting things that you can't resolve in yourself or directly want to see or own up to. So if you're holding on to those things, when the love vibration is being sent, I'm talking about cosmic love. Because if you let it go, it will heal you. You will, you feel parts of that ego dissolving, okay, and merging with the love frequency. But if you put up resistance, then the love frequency will just amplify that resistance, because it has no resistance in it. So your resistance will just be reflected back to you. This is how it works. So if you hold it, so all the negativity you're holding on to, which becomes the resistance, is going to return to you tenfold. Yes, this is how universal justice works itself out. Yeah. This is how everything is balancing itself, returning to the balance. So there's no reward and punishment from something up on high. It is just how the universal intelligence, its nature, always comes back to its balance. Everything has to come back to its harmony, because that's the nature of yourself. Peace and harmony. Yeah, you move from peace to pleasure, and when the pleasure's in a moment is happening, it's beautiful and it's gone, then you return to peace. You're comfortable with yourself. You don't start getting on a spree where it's like, oh shit, I need to get some more of that. No, you get back to the peace. Yeah, and then pleasure. Oh yeah. Oh, pleasure. Oh, it was momentary. It's okay. It's had its duration. Fine. I'm comfortable with myself. Back to the peace. That's how it should be. But the ego, see, because it's not finding the source, it's looking outside, is always going to be, well, I can never get enough. You know what I'm saying? I need more, need more, need more, need more, need more. It's like a bottomless pit, because you're dealing with emptiness when you're dealing with the egoic motivation, where the ego's, where you're motivated from that place, the egoic mind, rather than your soul self that is in touch with the universal consciousness. That is you. So you come to realize your interconnection with a broader reality. So I think that's it, y'all. So what's unfolding? You're going through the unfolding process of this new sense of yourself arising, and it's the higher self, it's the deeper self, your soul self, and to align with your higher self, your higher self consciousness, which is universal. Okay, and just because you're stepping into the unknown, it doesn't mean you need to be afraid of it, because the unknown is basically the source of all that can be known. You see it before it is known. And really, the unknown is what you're unconscious of, because actually the infinite, your all-knowing awareness. But having a finite experience, it's like you start to appear that you're knowing more in parts, you know what I mean? Rather than completely instantly, because that is the adventure you're here for, you know, to rediscover yourself like it's for the very first time, which you can't do when you're already all knowing. You know what I mean? So to have a finite experience from an infinite perspective, that is flipping amazing. Yeah. So it's for the joy of the freshness of rediscovering yourself anew, liberating yourself from the illusion more and more, to stand and step into the grandest version of yourself, always becoming better and better and better, because that's the nature of the divine operation, to always go beyond that which has gone before. You see what I mean? Always expressing, more expansion and fuller expression. You know, that's what the divine operation, I am the center of divine operation. That's what divine operation is always for, expansion and more fuller expression. So yes, this is the full moon in Aries, y'all. Yeah, total different way I break things down than you may have heard in different ways. So that's it. So I am going to call it a wrap up, and I trust that you get some insight in this and how to your inner guidance and so forth. So yes, folk. On that note, I'm gonna bid you a good shadow hour, and a loving process, an unfolding process, for your soul to arise, your soul consciousness to arise within your conscious awareness, so you can step into this new beginning of this new sense of self, where the relationship you choose to have with yourself is harmonious, about love, harmony, peace, beauty, and balance, and therefore you now want to generate that in your life. These is the soul experience, soul relationships, more energetic connections rather than egoic manipulative control, where there's an imbalance in you being true to yourself in order for somebody else to feel okay and not feeling, oh gosh, some people's insecurities as well, their insecurities kind of, you can feel you got to restrict yourself so they won't feel a way, because they taking responsibility for the way they feel and think. Why do they feel inadequate now that you may be shining yourself, and now they feel inadequate? Now they want to kind of make you feel, no, you got to shrink yourself so I don't feel so bad. You see all of them type of stuff, man. You want to walk away from that. You know what I mean? No more of that nonsense, y'all. No more of that nonsense. Each and every one has got to wake up to be true to themselves, which is really knowing that you are love, and it's not cerebral stuff. I mean, experiencing the fact that that's the way the divine life force, creative life force feels. That's the energy, source energy of your soul. You are that, but you have to experience it, y'all. And then do the work to keep yourself centered till you don't need to, till it's no more any effort, because you're now, the ego has now been dissolved like an ice cube into the totality of who you are. And now you don't have a separative perspective anymore. You have a unity consciousness perspective on yourself and all things. So on that, I'm going to be saying good shadow hour. And yes, y'all, have a wonderful strong end. Rather than weekend, have a wonderful strong end. Yeah. I'm still thinking, is there something else I need to tell you so I can go into something different next Tuesday? Okay, someone sent, look at that. Got a little post come up, and someone sent this post, so I'll just read it out. Today, till October the 28th, the waning full moon. So now you have a full moon, okay, that we just had. Now you're going to have a waning moon, because the full moon is a waxing moon. Wax means strong. So it's come to the full strength. It's waxing, yeah? When a moon is waxing, it's moving from the new moon into the full moon. From the full moon towards the new moon, you have a waxing moon, meaning it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, meaning it's not as fully illuminated as it was before. So the waning full moon, which is 78 days till 2020. So 78 days, 7 and 8 is a significant number. Go check it out. What the angel esoteric meaning of the numbers, 7 and 8. You know what I mean? 7 is mystical and 8 is divine power. You know what I mean? So deal with, go and check it out for yourself. And so what this waning full moon is also indicating, is a clearing. Yeah, I've already said this. Clearing toxicity out of our life. So it's not about just dealing with people. It's about you. You know, get some people who just turn around and project all their toxicity on somebody and say, yeah, man, I'm just getting rid of these people out of my life. And they get rid of these people out of their life and they still got freaking toxic shit in their life. You know, it's like people doing the smudging, doing all this sage smudge. Everybody's toxic. Everybody's negative. Now, if you got to do all that smudging so much, maybe you need to take stock and wonder if you're the one carrying the damn negative energy. Because what if you're going to keep smudging, smudge. Even if you just think you're there, oh, that negative energy, oh, that freaking negative energy, let me smudge that from myself. But that's negative in itself, man. You attracted it to you based on your negative expectations or interpretations or perspective you have of various folk. Yeah? So you smudging like that? Maybe you need to smudge your mind, smudge your thoughts, smudge your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Smudge your belief systems. You know what I mean? You know, smudge that, you know. And then maybe you may find that you don't need a sage smudge to be walking around with it much more. You now got the positive frequency of your positive alignment. You're having it with your source self. That now becomes your automatic protector. Because you're vibrating too high for trouble to come and, want to climb up over your wall and breach your fort. You know what I mean? You just, you know what I mean? You're already set and fortified with a positive vibration of your higher self or your soul power. You get what I'm saying? Positive energy. So too much of the smudging thing, if you're doing it, you need to sit down and take stock. Take stock. Ask yourself, where is this really coming from? So clearing toxicity out of your life. Okay? So this is dealing with, during the time of the waning moon, this is what you can do. Today, today and the next 14 days, the moon has started a clearing, healing and transitional cycle. It means that all toxicity is being, cleared from our lives, including current life drama and past life trauma, clearing our baggage and healing from all hurts. And some of those hurts we co-created, you got to understand that too. You're not just some victim laying down here, Today is also a reminder that 2020 is in 78 days. 78 days. The vibration of this number reminds us that we are connected to divine source. All toxicity is being cleared as we can attract greater abundance in our lives. Health, wealth, real love, harmony, and success through gratitude and generosity. We can activate the blessing of this angel number. So, I'll just inject here when it talks about this gratitude now. Through gratitude and generosity, we can activate the blessings, okay? Now, the thing is, this gratitude and generosity, let me tell you something. Yeah, you can be grateful and gratitude to others, Yeah, it's wonderful. They expressing the generosity and abundance of source, through a creative vehicle that assists you and help you realize more of your intrinsic nature. Yes, wonderful. But you see, this gratitude and praise should be always given to the source of being for it to therefore radiate to all. So you don't leave anything out when you're giving gratitude to source itself. Because that source itself is within all, and therefore gratitude and appreciation and all that, you know what I mean? Give thanks to the Most High within I, You can say that I give thanks, I give love, and thanks and love to the Most High within I, you see? Because many folk, they deal with, some folks say, yes, give thanks to God for everything, but it's still this nebulous out there. When you need to kind of really bring a location to this power, the source of this power is within you, so you're giving thanks to the source of life, within you, and which you've drawn your being from, you see? You're giving thanks to the source of all existence. So therefore, giving thanks to the source permeates also through you to all as well. You see what I'm saying? So always give thanks to the source of your being, because
Without the source of your being, there's no awareness of being. You see. All right, y'all. It's time to fly. So, to embrace a love of on high that I can't deny, y'all. So, yeah. So, good shadow hour, y'all. It's time for me to fly. All right. Catch you next Tuesday on Cosmic Roots Show.